What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and I probably shouldn't even be posting this video on YouTube because they're not going to like this one. Our own government is not going to like this one. I can go ahead and already assume that they will suppress this video. So all of you out there, if you want to support my channel, you could do so by simply sharing my videos to social media. Go on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you use, and share the link to this video. It helps get my videos seen, you know, because YouTube suppresses these type of stories. Now, you know, I cover a wide variety of things on my channel. We dive into a lot of like celebrity news and gossip and stuff going on, but I also like to blend in some news stories that are actually important. Because as much as we like talking about celebrities and watching them go crazy and all the crazy stuff that they do, I think we all know that that's not really important. You know, there's way more important things going on in the world. So I always try to cover important news stories as well. Well, earlier, news broke that the Nordstream pipeline had burst and it was leaking gas. And then shortly after, more news came in that Nordstream 2 had burst and it was leaking gas. So we have two pipelines within, I'm not so sure how accurate the reporting was, but within like an hour or two of each other, we were getting news that both of these pipelines had bursted and was just leaking gas, you know, into the sea or into the ocean. As soon as I saw it, I already knew. Like, this isn't something natural. This isn't an accident. This is sabotage. Why do I know that? Well, there has been a chain of events happening for months now. And actually today, they were just opening a new pipeline in Poland. Poland's president and the prime minister inaugurated the Baltic pipeline today. The new gas pipeline will bring 10 billion cubic meters of Norwegian gas to Poland per year, and it will make it possible for Poland to become 100% independent of Russian gas. You see, there's a push over in just various different countries, a lot of the EU, various different portions of NATO. They're trying to do things to make it where, I'm trying to explain this in a simple way, to where they're not as reliant on oil from Russia. These pipelines, which they weren't, I don't believe at the time, delivering oil to like Germany and stuff, that's what they were supposed to do. You know, the Nord Stream 2 was supposed to deliver gas from Russia down to Germany. Now, because of everything that's going on in Ukraine, they kind of halted that whole project. But there's just been a lot of stuff going on in the whole entire world that has led up to this. Two other things that make me really raise my eyebrows when looking at this situation is the fact that over the past few days, people in Germany have been protesting. They want them to lift the sanctions off of Russia and to reopen Nord Stream 2. And I think that would help them have cheaper costs on fuel, food, you name it. When gas prices are cheaper, the price of everything goes down. So there has been some unrest, and a lot of people in Germany have been calling for them to get rid of these sanctions and to reopen this pipeline. Also, the former Secretary of Defense of Poland straight up tweeted out, "Thank you, USA," and pretty much blamed USA for doing this. So I wanted to add those two little tidbits into this video to give you all a better idea of what's going on here. And I find the timing really suspect. You have this new pipeline opening today on the same day that these other pipelines are somehow destroyed. Now, I want you all to understand, it's not just me sitting here before you saying, hey, I think this is sabotage. Literally, all of the world leaders, the US, doesn't want to say much. And we'll get to that in a moment. But people in like various countries like Denmark, Sweden, everywhere. They're like, okay, yeah, we believe this is totally a sabotage. And then the news breaks. It gets deep, y'all. It gets deep. The news breaks that Sweden actually registered explosions by the Nordstream pipelines. The first explosion took place on Monday, slightly past 2:03 a.m., the second at 7:04 p.m. on the same day. One of the explosions measured at 2.3 on the Richter scale. So no, these pipelines just didn't by coincidence burst around the same time. No, there's actually registered explosions in the area right before these pipelines started leaking. So, I mean, you could put two and two together. Of course, these world powers, they can't come out here and be like, oh, you know, this happened, this happened. They have to be careful. But if you use your common sense, you put two and two together, you know that something went down here. Now, where we're at now is everyone's going to start pointing the fingers at everyone, okay? You're going to see various countries pointing the finger here and there. Obviously, a lot of people right now want to point the finger at Russia. But really ask yourself this. I know Russia is the enemy right now. I get it. But really think about it. We want to be honest, right? We want to get to the truth of what happens in our world. Why would Russia sabotage their own pipelines? Now, of course, you could sit here and speculate all day. And just to be clear, this entire video, it's speculation. All right? For a fact, these pipelines have burst. That's what we know for a fact. For a fact, world leaders around the world think that there was something going on here. They've registered explosions. It's very clear that this wasn't an accident. We don't know who did what yet. Of course, the U.S. and a lot of people want to point the finger at Russia. We got Russia, you know, they're having this big conflict with Ukraine. But why would Russia destroy their own pipelines? Really ask yourself that question. We know that the deals that they were working out with Germany, they've been stalled. Okay? So the destruction of this pipeline isn't going to affect Russia as much as one would think. Now, we could sit here and speculate all day, but when I'm really doing some critical thinking and really thinking about it, I don't feel like Russia would have done this to themselves. But if they did, the only logical explanation that I could really come up with, maybe you could come up with one better, is that it was more of like a false flag. We're going to attack our own pipeline, and then we're going to use that as an excuse to escalate this war even further. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's going on in Ukraine, but Putin just made the call that they're calling up like 300,000 more soldiers, drafting people. It's not ending. It's only going to get worse. The more and more money the U.S. and all these other countries pump into Ukraine, the longer Ukraine can fight and the more the people are going to die. And Putin's not going to pull out of Ukraine. It's simply not going to happen. So that situation is just going to continue to get worse. Maybe they could have done something like this to use this as an excuse, you know, for some type of retaliation against some other place, some other country, or maybe to escalate what's going on in Ukraine even further. But I really don't think that's the case. I will say it's a possibility, right? Anything is possible at this point. But I don't think that's the case. And here's why. Because I want you all to remember what Biden and the White House said about the Nord Stream pipeline before Russia invaded Ukraine. Let's take a look.
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
With regard to Nord Stream 2, We continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies, and I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
Listen, I'm not saying America is 100% responsible for what happened at these pipelines. That's not what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say here is, if we're pointing fingers everywhere, why aren't we looking at the people that literally said, hey, we're going to make sure we get rid of that pipeline? I mean, they literally laid it out before us months ago that this would happen, and now it has happened. So I don't know why everyone's like, oh, who done it? Who done it? I would look towards the people who literally said that they would do something like this. It was kind of cryptic because you have to realize that's up to Germany. It's not up to us to decide if Germany's going to get that gas. But the way the White House was talking about it is as if, oh, it's our decision. And we don't even care. Regardless, we'll make sure. We can do it. We'll make sure of it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cryptic. And now here we are months later and the pipeline is gone. And who would benefit from this? Germany, damn sure. The EU, whoever's getting oil from Russia, and we're going into the winter, it's going to be a cold winter. They aren't gaining from this. I don't see how Russia's really gaining from this. The U.S., what did the U.S. say today? Don't worry, everyone. We got enough oil for y'all. I know what happened to those pipelines. It's kind of bad, but don't worry. We got enough oil for y'all. The U.S. is one of the only places on earth that I can think of that would directly benefit from this. And I also feel like there's been a fear about Germany. I feel like there's been an uncertainty about Germany throughout this whole conflict. Don't get me wrong, obviously I don't live in Germany, but from judging by the things that I've seen, some of the reactions, some of the body language, just everything that's been going on lately, I feel like within NATO, there's some a level of uncertainty about Germany and what they may do going forward in the future about, getting gas from Russia and things like that. And I don't think that the U.S. and the powers that be want that to be an issue. So in many ways, it's kind of like they forced Germany's hand. By destroying this pipeline, you're making Germany more reliant on us, less reliant on Russia, therefore less likely to form some type of alliance with Russia, to align with Russia, or to be neutral towards the situation with Russia. Make no mistake about it, everything that's going on over there, like I said, it's going to get worse. I don't necessarily know what's going to come out of it, but I don't necessarily think that Putin would stop at Ukraine. Why would he stop at Ukraine? Earlier this week, or maybe even last week, they actually announced that some of the territories they've taken over, oh, it's Russia now. That belongs to us. And if you attack Russian soil, then we're going to retaliate on a whole different level. He's threatened to use tactical nukes. It's getting bad. And, over here in the U.S., we have a tendency to just wrap ourselves up in all types of other drama and other type of news. And it's like we don't worry about what goes on in the world as much as other people because we're so isolated over here in the U.S. We don't really worry about these conflicts spilling over into our soil. But you have to understand the rest of the world, it's constantly on edge because they border each other and anything could happen. We could see a massive military conflict spread throughout Europe any day now, the way this stuff is looking. And this situation with the pipeline, regardless of who's responsible, okay? Like I said, I'm not here to tell you who's responsible. I'm just here to help you think throughout the process and let you know my thought process. But regardless of who's responsible, this is escalating this situation to a whole nother level. These are the type of, I don't even want to call it little because this isn't a little situation, but these are the type of little things that lead up to a bigger conflict. And I mean, we've been on the verge of it for a while. Many could say that maybe we've been fighting World War III for years. through technology and cyber warfare. But man, oh man, what happened today and the information that's going to pour out going forward, who knows where this will lead. I could tell you right now that the U.S. is acting as if they don't know anything about it. Various countries from around the world are sending their navies out there and they're doing their own investigations. Wouldn't it be crazy if they found out that the U.S. did this? How quick would that be shoved under the rug? I'm sure they'll blame Putin, and maybe he did do this, but hopefully we'll find out more going forward. But either way it goes, this is one of the news stories that even if you say, oh, this is boring and I don't want to hear about this, this is one of the news stories that's going to affect all of us, any and every single person watching this video, no matter where you live. And I have people watching my channel from all over the world. Every corner of the earth will be affected by this. Gas prices will start going up. You name it. We will be affected in one way, shape, or another. But let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.